Hey, what's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. We are in for some activity tonight, potentially. Saw this coming a few days ago, actually, about 3 days ago. Sometimes long range forecasts can and will change. Saw this weather coming back on Friday of last week. Actually made a notation in my journal to double check the weather on Monday as the potential for a severe weather outbreak was possible. And sure enough, here it is. Agent Fletcher, last one, 207. How you guys doing? Thanks for stopping by. If you are in South Dakota, obviously, you know it's raining right now. There's very high winds and reports of hail and all kinds of things going on up in the South Dakota area. We're going to go in and talk about tornado warnings throughout Kansas, North Texas, large hail warnings, just a lot going on. And the thing you saw on the title, Nocturnal. We've talked about that before on this channel, and we're going to talk about it again. Nocturnal tornadoes are the worst. There's no good tornadoes, nocturnal, nighttime tornadoes. This can't get any worse. And unfortunately, tonight there could be some nighttime tornadoes. So we're going to go in and take a look at the situation as it's unfolding right now in real time. Here we go. We're starting up here in the obvious location. This is up here in the North Nebraska area, South Dakota area. As it stands right now, there's not a major severe component. Yes, there's multiple reports of high winds and large hail. There is a severe thunderstorm warning for that area currently underway. What I want to touch on is what's brewing and what could be coming later on tonight after dark. And even throughout the overnight hours. So if you're in, obviously, Kansas, see the big red rectangle, and there's a blue one in there as well. That's a Mesocyclone discussion being talked about by the National Weather Service. Usually when you see those types of symbols on here, that is indicative of tornado activity in the very near future. So if you're in Kansas, Oklahoma, North Texas, guys, have a plan. Have an interior room with no glass. Make sure everybody in the family knows where it's at, when to go there, because tonight could be one of those nights. We're going to start down here in Texas. There's a report right there of large hail. They're anticipating 3-inch hail down in here. Are you serious? 3-inch. Anticipating that. Let's see what this report is. I doubt if it's 3, but 1.75. That's big enough. 5:10 p.m. today in Quanah, Texas. That would be in the North Texas area, pretty close to the Oklahoma border. Here's another report of large hail. Actually, I believe this is in Oklahoma. Yeah. Lusty, Oklahoma, report of 1-inch hail. We can handle 1-inch hail. It's going to do some damage, but it's better than 2. Another 1-inch hail in Aspermont, Texas. Let's read the tornado watch, which this one expires in 31 minutes, but I'm pretty sure they're going to extend it, and I'll show you guys why. Atmospheric conditions are very prime for tornadoes tonight. National Weather Service Prediction Storm Center out of Norman, Oklahoma. Tornado watch remains in effect until 9 p.m. Central Daylight Time for the following locations. Pretty much all of the counties throughout central Oklahoma: Cotton, Jackson, Greer, Kiowa, Harmon, and Tillman. Texas counties included are all of these right here, and they are in alphabetical order. If you guys see your counties on here, and I'm sure you're well aware that you're possibly in a tornado warning. But here's the thing. Conditions could be favorable off and on all night long. This is in the Texas area. I believe this tornado warning here, check this out, expires in 6 hours and 30 minutes. This is what I'm talking about, the nocturnal tornadoes. Here we go. Immediate broadcast requested. National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center, Norman, Oklahoma, April 15th, 8:05 p.m. This is a fairly new alert that just came out. Tornado watch for portions of western and central Kansas, south central Nebraska, northwestern Oklahoma, and eastern Oklahoma and the eastern Oklahoma Panhandle. and the northeast Texas Panhandle. Effective this Monday night, and here you go, and Tuesday morning from 8:05 tonight to 3 a.m. There is that nocturnal component. Possible tornadoes during the overnight hours. Primary threats include a few tornadoes likely with a couple intense tornadoes possible, scattered large hail, and isolated keyword here, very large hail events to 3 inches in diameter. Scattered damaging winds, likely with isolated significant gusts up to 75 miles per hour. Basically, at times, hurricane force winds in this area right here. And here's the summary. This is coming from the good guys and gals at the National Weather Service. Thunderstorm development is expected this evening along a dry line from the Texas Panhandle into western Kansas, with an environment that will become more favorable for tornadic supercells after dark. Keywords there, after dark. There is never a good time for tornadoes, especially after dark. A couple of strong tornadoes will be possible with the more discrete, persistent supercells, along with a very large hail up to 2.5 to 3 inches in diameter. Man, that's big hail. That's baseball-size hail, possibly bigger. Some clustering of storms will be possible later tonight, with an accompanying threat for damaging winds of 60 to 75 miles per hour. Tornado watch area is approximately along a 60 statute mile east and west of a line from 5 miles northeast of Kearney, northeast to 105 miles south of Dodge City, Kansas. Next 6 hours, guys, in this area. So if you're anywhere from Kearney, up here in southern Nebraska, south central Nebraska, all the way down into the northeastern Texas Panhandle, that covers a wide area. And they've even got a mesocyclone discussion. I think that's what this is. We're clicking on it live right now. I haven't got this far yet because this just came up. That's usually what that means. Yeah, mesoscale discussion, and that's where the weather forecasters talk about the possibility for vortexes forming in that area. Not good, not a good setup. It's just simply not. And anytime there are even chances of tornadoes after dark, it's just terrible. Severe thunderstorm watch expires in 2.5 hours up here, 2 hours and 27 minutes. Immediate broadcast, once again, from the National Weather Service out of Norman, Oklahoma. Severe thunderstorm watch for portions of northwest Nebraska, western and southern South Dakota, northeast Wyoming, effective this Monday afternoon and evening from 2:40 p.m. until 10 p.m. tonight. Again, same situation, large hail, isolated, keyword very large hail with up to 2 inches in diameter likely, and they base that off of the cloud tops, how tall the storms get. Gives you an indication of how large the hail could possibly be. They must be expecting taller storms down in the Kansas and Texas area, Oklahoma area later on, because they're predicting larger hail. So if the storms are 50, 60,000 foot, then they're going to produce larger hail. We're looking for pinks on here. If we see pink on here, yeah, there's the pink right there, and that's at 9 p.m. tonight. Those pinks are very tall, and there's your tall storms that can produce the 3-inch hail right there. So yeah, more than likely it's coming. These storms could produce tornadoes. These are supercells, anticipated supercells, and I'm finding that over here at windy.com, and you can see over here on the satellite presentation, this would be the infrared view, and you can see the stage is being set. There's the scorpion right there. I always call it the scorpion in the sky. The low just anchored right there in southwest South Dakota. The low is anchored right here. It's going to develop that big old familiar scorpion in the sky tail. It's already forming. It's going to drag all the way down into Texas later on tonight. From the Dakotas down through Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, into Texas. You can see it forming right there. It's going to happen, guys. It's definitely going to happen. Looking at the Cape and the lifted index over here, Burgundy, yeah, there it is. The burgundy was there Friday. It's still there today. Sometimes it changes. This just means that conditions are definitely favorable. This is the lifted index, how tall these storms could potentially get. And you can see the dark burgundies represent taller storms, and they're consistent with what we're seeing over here with the Storm Prediction Center forecast from the National Weather Service. So it's going to happen to some degree. Right now, it's up in southern South Dakota, southwestern South Dakota. I believe Yellowstone is parallel from this location. Yeah, right there's Yellowstone, the mighty super volcano right there. Directly parallel from these ongoing storms that could pop off a tornado, a severe component at any moment, guys. So we're going to watch these for a few minutes. I just wanted to give you guys a big heads up, and I'm going to stay on here as long as I can, Pearl and Selah. You know, like I've always told you, nighttime tornadoes are obviously the worst. There's no good tornado, and if I can help just a little bit, you know, I'm honored to do so. Let's just take a look and see if there's anything going on here. Not yet. That's good, but it's coming, man. It is definitely coming later on this evening, probably within the next hour or two. I would say they're already starting to form. These small cells, you're seeing the lightning start to accumulate down here in Kansas, North Kansas, southern Nebraska. Let's just check some other areas. These are radar stations all over the country, and we can access them right here. We can see what's going on in real time. Right now, the activity, because the low is anchoring up here, and the scorpion tail is what I call it, is developing, and it's going to swing back. Well, they're already showing us right here. This is where the tail is going to form right here. Right through here. Right through there. There you go. I know it's not a very good. And then the low is anchoring here. And that's what it's going to look like right there. The low is anchoring right there. And there's the scorpion tail. That's what it's going to look like here in about 2.5, 3 hours. Right in this area here. Very high winds, strong thunderstorms, and possibly tornadoes. The stage is being set, guys, for a potential outbreak of not only severe thunderstorms, very large hail, and the National Weather Service is calling for tornadoes tonight. So just have a plan. That's all you got to do. Have a plan and be ready. We're getting wind reports out of the Dakotas already. 60-mile-an-hour winds. White River, South Dakota. It's going to check on a few. This is right in the middle of this severe thunderstorm that's currently underway. And you can see there's a cluster of thunderstorms. 52-mile-an-hour wind gust reported once again in South Dakota. All kinds of activity over here. Check out all these reports from Rapid City. Yeah, this is from earlier. Probably within the last hour and a half, 2 hours. Rain, which we know it's raining. Hail, let's see what size the hail. I'm just curious. 1 inch? Okay, we can deal with 1 inch. It's the 3-inch stuff that is, you don't even want to go outside in 3-inch hail. You want to avoid that at all costs. That stuff is pretty rough. There's 1 3/4, Long Valley, South Dakota. That's getting close to 2-inch hail, and that's pretty rough stuff too. So right now, the stage is being set. The scorpion in the sky has anchored right here. This is where the low pressure, it's a low pressure system that's anchoring in the Dakotas up here by, where we at? Like I said, parallel from Yellowstone, down here in southwestern South Dakota, northwestern Nebraska. And it's being set up for later on tonight. Severe storms all night long, even into tomorrow. And there's storms on the East Coast, out near Washington, and had some high winds in far western Pennsylvania, Ohio earlier today. Again, the stage is just now being set. We can take a look at the Futurecast, and I can show you guys what I saw Friday. And a lot of times this changes between, a 2 and 3 day window. But it's still the same pretty much. In fact, there you go right there. That's at 11 p.m. tonight. And there's your scorpion tail right there. See it? And that's the location. The pinks are the areas of the most intense. Tecuma, near Omaha, up here near Eagle Butte. And this is at 11 p.m. tonight. Well after dark. northern Missouri. Looks like a rural area, but nevertheless, there's probably still people out there. Sioux City, north of Sioux City, south of Sioux Falls. So there's going to be activity all around the Sioux City, Sioux Falls area later on tonight. Once again, after dark, we're going to step it ahead another couple hours. And here we go. You can see how this energy is moving to the east, northeast, very slowly throughout the overnight hours. I believe this is at 1 a.m. Strong storms. The burgundies represent strong storm activity, and the pinks could represent tornadoes near Iowa City and Des Moines, once again at 1 o'clock in the morning. At the very least, looking at strong thunderstorms. They're predicting that right now. It's a little hard to predict tornadoes in a very specific area. All they can tell us is that conditions are going to be very favorable for the formation of tornadoes and severe thunderstorms. There you go. Kansas City, this is at 5 a.m. Check it out. Tuesday, this is tomorrow morning, very early at 5 a.m. Kansas City, check it out. Very strong storms at 5 a.m. are anticipated. This can change, but northwestern Missouri, Iowa City. Once again, it's going to be very busy and active near the Iowa City, Des Moines area all night long. That's the activity for tonight during the overnight hours. Getting super intense tonight around 8 p.m. Are you serious? Check that out. The color you don't want to see on here is pink. Pink and purple. There you go. It's just loaded with pink and purple. They're anticipating some heavy-duty storm activity through here tonight, and that's very consistent with over here at ventusky.com. Right there, there's your scorpion in the sky. This is Wendy showing us a little more detailed version of the locations and possible intensities. Grand Island, Sioux City is going to be very active tonight if you're in the Sioux City area, guys, so be ready. Starting here in the next hour and a half, 2 hours. I know most of you have a safe room. If you don't, pick one. You pick a room with no glass, not near any exterior walls. If you have a basement, man, that's perfect. If you have a basement, there you go. Go down in the basement if it starts getting, very windy and the lightning and stuff starting to, get a little loud, things start to rumble, just kind of mosey down into the basement. No basement, interior room with no glass, and you should be good to go. But just be ready tonight, guys, for real. I saw this brewing last week, but I didn't say anything because a lot of times long-range forecasts can and will change, and they do. This one stayed the same. So yeah, it's going to storm tonight if you're in the Central Plains, and they've already got 6-hour tornado watches from southern Nebraska through all of central Kansas. Hays is right in the middle. Dodge City, right in the middle, and everywhere in between. I know there's a lot of rural areas in here, but there's a lot of people in through there. They're no strangers to tornadoes. They've had their fair share of tornadoes through Kansas and Oklahoma. But there's going to be probably some tonight to some degree. Hopefully there won't be. But I'm just saying, whenever you see these red rectangles on here, the National Weather Service is definitely anticipating action. And it'll probably show up tonight, unfortunately, after dark. Things are kind of calm right now in the Central Plains. Let's click on some radars here just to see. I'm just curious. Here we are this is the hot spot right here. We're here in the next couple hours. It's going to get really tricky in through here the next couple hours. Right now, things are pretty good. Not even a whole lot on the radar to even talk about. For now, it's going to get busy in here. I can assure you. I saw this coming a few days ago. Let's check in on our friends in north central Texas. Here we go. Getting a few storms in here, but right now, nothing that they can't handle. They're no strangers to storms either in the Texas area. They're used to strong storms and those big old tall boys that reach up 50, 60,000 foot. These are not. They're very small storms, but they have the potential to reach staggering heights. It takes a storm at least 50,000 foot tall to produce 3-inch hail. So these storms eventually are going to have to grow to very tall heights during the overnight hours, which It doesn't happen very often. Usually the afternoon sun pulls the storms up, at least the cloud tops up, For storms to rise like that after dark, that requires a lot of lift. And the lifted index is what I was looking at over here. It's like, oh my, that's a lot of lift after dark. And it's going to equate to a lot of big storms. So just be ready for hail anywhere from 1 inch to 3 inch size. They're calling for 3-inch hail in areas, so they're anticipating some very big storms. So if you're in these areas, obviously have a room. You guys are smart, you know the drill, but just know that tonight you might need to use your drill. Hopefully you won't, but just in case you do, have a room, man. Have an interior room with no glass, and you guys be ready. It's better to be ready and not need it than to not be ready and need it. But they have had persistent storm activity up here in the Rapid City area. Let's just read some of these reports here real quick. Light, well, it's not necessarily light rain. Let's see what they're talking. It doesn't look like it's light to me. It looks pretty heavy. This is a fairly new report, less than 30 minutes old. 0.82, that would be over 3/4 of an inch of rain that's fallen in a very short period of time. And there's the pinks right there. Okay, there you go. It's already starting. The pinks are the tall cells. They're getting up there in height. That's a tall storm right there. Here's another report from a local 5:57 p.m. 1 inch of rain fell in Piedmont, South Dakota in a very short period of time. So they could be experiencing flash flooding. I don't know their drainage situation up there. Another inch of rain in Piedmont. That's a different report. Here's another report out of the same area. Just over an inch of rain in Hisega, South Dakota. So it's raining very hard there. And that's another thing that is going to have to be possible, flash flooding issues to go along with the high winds. We're getting wind reports from the Dakotas right now. And this thing is just getting started. It's just getting warmed up. Here's a wind gust that was reported out of Ottumwa, South Dakota, 53 miles per hour. More wind reports here. All of these are high wind reports. So people are reporting, and these are just the ones that were reported. There's probably 10 times as many that went unreported. We're getting more of these severe weather. Here's one right here. Let's see what this one is saying. This is from the special weather statement. Let's see what they got to say. I'm telling you, it's going to be an active night, guys. No joke. Special weather statement. 8:10 p.m. Central Time from the National Weather Service out of North Platte, Nebraska. Here we go. A strong thunderstorm will impact northeastern Cherry, northwestern Brown, and west central Kayapaya counties through 9:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time. At 8:09 p.m. There we go. At 8:09 p.m., Doppler radar was tracking a strong storm 10 miles west of Johnstown, or 20 miles west of Ainsworth, moving north at 35 miles an hour. Wind gusts of 50 mile an hour, nickel-size hail. Gusty winds can knock down tree limbs and blow around unsecured objects. Minor hail damage to vegetation is possible. And when that happens, when you get the even the smaller hail, you can smell that vegetation in the atmosphere. You can smell it especially when it hits a forest. It's full of trees and takes leaves off the branches. So there's a severe component right here in this area that's going to last. How much longer is this one for? 26 minutes. And that's a special weather statement. So to get a special weather statement like that this early, it's probably going to be a very busy night. And that storm's moving to the north into South Dakota right now as we're doing this live stream. So the storms are gaining momentum as they anticipated. Tornadoes are more than likely going to occur tonight, guys. There very well could be nocturnal tornadoes tonight. After dark, there's never a good time for tornadoes. After dark's the absolute worst. But they're getting some everything on the menu right now up here in the southwest South Dakota area and central South Dakota. High winds, hail, heavy rains, and that could complicate the situations with flooding after dark. There's not necessarily a good time for flooding, especially after dark. So they're going to be entering the nighttime hours here soon in South Dakota. I mean, it's getting dark here where I'm at, down here in Arizona. So it's getting dark there as well. So could be an interesting night. So if you're in these areas, just be on your toes. That's all. Listen to your obvious your local weather stations and pay attention to your surroundings, because the atmosphere, it's on one tonight. It's going to get very active in these areas. The stage is being set. It's not anything new. We've dealt with severe thunderstorms and things like that, but this is unique with regard to the atmospheric lift right there. You can already see it starting right there. And that's where, let me go back to that area. That's where the heaviest concentrations of rain, high winds, and hail are currently at. And those aren't the tallest storms. Those are just orange. So those are probably in the 35,000 foot range. It's when they get the dark orange, red, you'll see black on here. Those are in the 50, 55,000, 60,000 foot range. We're not there yet, but it's headed there. It's headed there, and you're seeing the scorpion in the sky start to reveal itself. This is it right here. It's going to go all the way down into Texas. It's going to get very busy in Iowa tonight. If I was in Iowa, I would be ready. Have your safe room ready. If you're in Iowa, it's going to get busy tonight during the overnight hours with regard to severe weather. It's going to be like this, but probably much more intense. At least the possibilities there, guys, for real. I saw this Friday. I always check the 72-hour outlook. I don't look too much farther ahead than that, because you guys are smart people. You know the weather can change. It can change very, very quickly. But 72 hours, it's normally workable. It's usually pretty close. And I wrote down in my journal, Monday the 15th, possibility of severe storms on Monday through the central plains and the north central plains, the Dakotas, all the way down to Texas. And it is materializing. Sometimes it doesn't. Things change. Maybe a cold front will move through. The jet stream will tweak a little bit. That wasn't the case. They're getting these 3-day forecasts down pretty good. So it has arrived. It's here, and it's going to be here all night long. So be ready, guys, if you're in these areas, because it's going to be an interesting night. And this is going to last till tomorrow, at least through tomorrow morning, especially in Iowa, Missouri. All of this energy is going to move to the east. And it's going to move in different components. It's going to be more intense maybe in Iowa, maybe let up a little bit in Kansas, be very intense around like Kansas City, Missouri, and then slowly making its way to the east tomorrow afternoon. So collectively, this system, it's just now starting to get organized, and you're going to see more of this orange on this map right here. This is one that I've used also for many, many years. It just shows you what's going on. It doesn't give you necessarily a forecast, but what it shows you on radar, you can rest assured it's happening. That this is very, very good. This College of DuPage. I've used this for years and years and years, but that's just showing you what's going on. And the yellows and greens are light rain. Atmosphere is getting ready. This is going to connect. What you see up here, this low is anchoring here. All of this here is going to connect. And it's going to connect during the overnight hours, and then it's going to just become one big, not necessarily one big storm, but it's going to be a collection of storms. These are going to strengthen, and they're going to feed off of each other throughout the overnight hours and become very intense, like here in places. So that's at 8 p.m. tonight, not too far from now. We could see some possible tornadoes tonight around 8. Look at the 9 o'clock hour. Moving into Omaha around 10, between 8 and 10. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. It's going to be very, very busy tonight, guys, if you're in the Central Plains. So, you know the drill. Have a plan. Interior room with no glass. And you know what? I do know that basements are fairly common in the Central Plains. Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, a lot of folks, Kansas, Nebraska, the Dakotas. I've never been to the Dakotas, but if they're anything like a lot of the areas in the Central Plains, a lot of homes, not all, have basements. So that's your safe zone is your basement during tornadoes. I hear you there. I had a place in the Central Plains, and it had a small basement under half the house, not the whole house. And that was my safe spot because I was out in a rural area, and I was exposed to the possibility of storms, tornadoes, because there was nothing to stop a tornado from coming right towards my place. So yes, I had a plan, and it was, but the only thing is I had to go outside to get in the basement. But if I got in the basement, it was good. So just have a plan. That's all, guys. I know you do. I know you do. But make sure everybody in your family knows the plan. Everybody is on the same page so that, if you wake up in the middle of the night, you know right where to go. Make sure everybody knows where the safe room is at in your home, in your apartment. There's safe rooms in apartments. Even if you're on a second story, you can get into a safe room in an apartment. There's got to be an interior bathroom, an interior closet, just as long as you're away from the exterior walls and potential flying projectiles. I've been in hurricanes where I've seen the flying projectiles, and they can come in a variety of forms. They can be lawn chairs, they can be branches, they can be broken 2x4s. You name it, anything that 100-mile-an-hour wind gust can pick up and elevate can become a flying projectile that can penetrate exterior walls and quite easily exterior windows. So just stay away from the exterior windows, that's all. You can see the storms are developing very, very quickly in here, guys. I wouldn't be surprised if there's not a tornado. I'm not going to say there is because I don't know, but the atmosphere is starting to get really, really active very, very quickly. No joke. Here we go. Rosebud Parmalee. I hope I pronounced that correctly. That would be in South Dakota. Yes, South Dakota. In central South Dakota. Guys, that looks like a tornadic. At the very least, a very powerful thunderstorm in that area. And it's moving due north. Let's see how fast it's moving. Going along at a pretty good clip, 31 knots, 1.75 hail with that storm. So that tells us that it's relatively tall, but it hasn't recycled. It's going to recycle here soon. That's a much taller storm than you think. Pinks usually, look at all that lightning. Oh, here we go. This thing is starting to really accumulate the energy. Look at the lightning. It's like one solid lightning bolt. Look at that. Holy cow. Okay, that's a strong storm. Let's see where it's headed. It's going towards White River. That would be White River, South Dakota, just east of Norris, South Dakota. And you can see the storms. This is that low pressure that's anchored. It's circling like a stationary hurricane, but a hurricane moves forward. This is like a counterclockwise giant storm that's just anchoring over here in southwest South Dakota. And it's starting to produce these high walkers, these big tall storms that are reaching 50,000 foot, in some cases taller. That's the pink you see on here. And those can be very strong storms. They are very strong storms. I've used this radar for many, many years, and it's very accurate. And if that says it's a 50,000-foot storm, you can rest assured it is. Wow, those are strong, and these are developing very, very quickly. When I started this, there was very little pink on this map. Now look at all the pink. Look at all the pink on here. That lifted index is kicking into high gear very, very fast. Way up here, luckily that's a rural area, but look at all the lightning. Ions off the hook over here south of Interior, south of Conata. Storms through that area. They just went through that area. They're moving along also at around 23 knots, not necessarily super fast. I've seen storms with a forward speed of over 70 miles an hour, and that wasn't the wind gusts. The storms were moving at 7. This been many years ago. Moving like that, the forward speed of the storms were faster than they're stronger than the wind gusts themselves. It was the weirdest thing. I never will forget that. That was, I think it was down in Mississippi, to be honest with you, a few years ago. You've got 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in here, and I'm just watching very, very closely for that first tornado icon to appear on here, because it looks like conditions are favorable for tornadoes. They're definitely getting high winds in here. That's a classic sign of high winds, and definitely hail. There is definitely hail in that area for sure. What's this showing? Yeah, 1 3/4 hail. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't bigger in some locations. A lot of the times, the hail will, for the most part, go unreported, because hail that falls out in rural areas goes unreported if it's not around people. It has to fall around people, and we don't want people getting injured. But it's no telling how large some of the hail has been. At least during modern record-keeping days, because some of the hail, the big majority of the hail that falls, goes unreported, goes unnoticed. So who knows? I think the biggest hail was the size of a volleyball or something like that came down. That we know of. Like I said, there could have been bigger that nobody. Just like with meteorites that enter the atmosphere, the majority of the meteorites are out over the ocean. So we don't know. We just know of a small fraction. The meteors are constantly entering the atmosphere. We just don't know about it. Yeah, the pinks right there. Those are the colors that you don't want to see. And then especially if it turns into purple, and then you get a collection, a cluster of purple, for lack of a better word, pixels on there. That usually means tornadoes. So keeping a close eye out for those. This all of a sudden got very energetic up here, very, very quickly. Once the radar updates, especially over there at the COD, you'll probably see some darker cloud tops. That means they're getting taller. The storm systems are growing. They're getting stronger and stronger, and they're supposed to get stronger throughout the overnight hours. And this storm field is supposed to grow. It's going to span over 1,000 miles. It's going to span over 1,000 miles. I think right now there's already, let's see. Okay, from Grand Isle, the tornado warning down here in Texas has expired for now. But don't let your guard down. But at one time, there was tornado watches and warnings, or watches at the very least, from Grand Isle all the way down to Abilene, several hundred miles worth of tornado watches. And it's just getting started, guys. It's just getting started. There's probably going to be tornado watches all throughout the Central Plains at one point or another throughout the rest of the evening hours and into the overnight hours. Unfortunately, people are getting ready for bed and things like that. There could be tornadoes tonight. So just be ready. Be at the ready. And these things are starting to get strong very, very quickly. I'm looking for that first tornado on here. I haven't seen one yet. And you can also, you look for a simple outflyer down here. You'll know if you see a tornado on here. It looks like a little outflyer. You can actually see it depending on its size, like up here, for instance. See the little outflyers up here? They're kind of extending out. Those are not tornadoes, by the way. But when you see a hook echo, you'll see like a bow in the cloud formation itself, and then inside that bow, you'll see one of those little flyers, like right there. Right there. See that little guy right there? Sometimes that little guy can be a big tornado. That's not the case right now. That is not a tornado. But I'm just saying conditions are favorable for tornadoes right now. Absolutely they are. And you've got some areas over here where there's hardly any clouds. Over by Allen and Martin and Batesland. And then over here it's the complete opposite. You're talking heavy-duty thunderstorms by Rosebud and Parmalee. So right now they're scattered, but they're going to be scattered and widespread throughout the overnight hours. Nocturnal tornadoes, guys. So just be ready. There have been none yet that I'm aware of over here, but the conditions are definitely favorable for tornadoes. High winds, large hail, very intense rain. They're getting some heavy rains up here, and it's not showing any signs of letting up. Still downpours up here in the Rapid City area, Green Valley. Box Elder is right in the middle of a very intense thunderstorm right now as I'm speaking into this microphone. Blackhawk, what is that, Somerset? Let's see what this one says here. I think that is a large hail report. Let's see how large. 1 inch. Okay, that's decent size. Let's see what this one says. Another 1 inch. Rockerville, South Dakota. I'm sure they're dealing with some flash flooding up here. It's been pouring. What's this showing? 3/4 of an inch of rain near Rapid City. 1 inch of rain near Piedmont, South Dakota. But see, they keep generating behind the leading edge of the storms. This is that big counterclockwise rotation that's anchored right here. So this is going to persist in here for quite possibly hours. Severe thunderstorm watch for the next hour and 55 minutes. So you're looking at least 2 hours more of severe thunderstorm activity in this area, because that's where the low pressure is anchoring. It's setting up shop right here. Check it out. Put this in fast forward. Right there is where it's anchoring. Right there. I got my mouse right there. See it? It just anchored right there. And it's going to develop and form into a big scorpion in the sky tonight. And those sky scorpions produce tornadoes. They'll drop large hail. And they can produce some mighty, mighty winds. And, of course, a lot of rain. They're dealing with a lot of rain right now. It's isolated, as you can clearly see. Check it out. It's not even raining over here in Kyle. They're barbecuing in Kyle. They're barbecuing in Porcupine, South Dakota. Go north about 20 miles, and they're probably headed for the basement because it's storming so hard. And they got the barbecue fired up down here in Porcupine, Pine Ridge. But don't let your guard down, guys, because you guys are right in the middle of this counterclockwise rotation. It's going to be around for the next couple hours, so I'm sure that the rain will make its way to Porcupine. It's going to make its way to Pine Ridge. Hopefully your barbecuing will be done before the storms arrive. But they're all around you. They are coming, rest assured. Wow, that is a very quickly developing storm system here. Whoa. Headed north towards Wood, White River. That's this severe component here. And the longer like that, the longer it stays pink like that, that also, that just represents basic intensity. That is a very strong storm. And there's a cluster of very strong storms there. And Rapid City is dealing with a lot of rain right now over here. I mean, it is relentless. But, of course, that's where the low pressure has set up shop. It's anchored right there, and it's going to be there for several hours. That's where it chose to anchor, right there above, basically, Rapid City. And it's going to rotate counterclockwise for a while. Glad everybody stopped by. Hey, if you're in these areas, you know the drill. You're smart people. You are ready. You're prepared. You're ready for anything. So you're not afraid of a little thunderstorm, but you got to respect Mother Nature, man. I've seen tornadoes and hurricanes and all that, and that's what actually inspired me many, many years ago. And ever since then, I had to understand how it worked, you know. How does a tornado form? How does a hurricane form? And then I just went from there, and I had to understand, how did it just do that? I saw a tornado just drop out of the sky right in front of me as I was driving down a 2-lane highway. I had no idea what to do. So I just pulled over to the side of the road and said a prayer as it went to my right. It was headed to the northeast. And once I could tell it was moving away from me, it was moving at an angle. Yeah, you guessed it. I followed it. I followed it for like 7, 8, maybe 9 miles. I saw it go into a home. Unfortunately, I had no way. This was like pre-cell phone. I saw it hit a farmhouse, took out a grain bin, a silo that holds grain, jumped a highway. It stayed on the ground for over 17 miles. Yeah, it was a doozy. And it started out, looked like what I saw up in the sky looked like an ice cream cone, horizontal ice cream cone in the sky. I'm like, wow, that's a weird-looking storm cloud. Was it ever? All of a sudden, that ice cream cone, the point of it, the old-school ice cream cone, all of a sudden reached down and made contact with the ground. And when it was up in the sky rotating, you couldn't see it. You couldn't see it until it started picking up the dirt out of the the plowed cornfield. Then all of a sudden it became visible, and it's like, oh, wow, and it was big too. You don't normally see tornadoes until they start picking up debris. Yeah, that's exactly what that one did. It jumped across 2 highways. And when it jumped across the first highway and landed in a cornfield, it was off-season. The corn was already harvested. It was just bare dirt. But it started pulling the dirt up. And then I could see sheet metal at the top of the tornado rotating around. It almost looked like it was in slow motion. Sheet metal that had came off of the factory that it took out prior to jumping the highway. Sheet metal just floating at the top of the tornado in slow motion. However, it was not slow motion, but it looked like it from the ground. Pretty wild. Ever since then, though, between that and the hurricanes, that's what inspired me to learn about weather. And I've learned a lot over a long time. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, South Dakota especially, and this energy is moving towards North Dakota, and they're seeing the activity slowly but surely make its way up into the North Dakotas. But right now, all eyes are on central, west central, western South Dakota. They are getting relentless rain right now, at least according to this radar and every other radar I've visited, showing heavy rain right now. Let's see. Let's just check this one out and see what it looks like. Looks the same, starting to get a little darker orange. The darker it gets, that means it's getting more intense. See the counterclockwise personality that it's got? That's very classic for a northern hemisphere low pressure system. Sometimes high pressures rotate the other direction, even in the northern hemisphere. But for the most part, counterclockwise activity. Southern hemisphere is clockwise activity. Boy, they're getting some really heavy rains up here in the Box Elder area, Green Valley, Rapid City. And that rain starts piling up. It has nowhere to go but up. Sometimes it goes into homes. The roads get covered. Ditches become, just inundated because it can't handle rain rates of 2 to 3 inches per hour. That's what happened with Hurricane Harvey down in deep South Texas. It rained at just unbelievable rates. It didn't even have to rain at incredible rates because the storm stalled over the South Texas area, especially Houston. And it sat there for, you can do simple math. If it rained at the rate of 2 inches per hour for 24 hours, 48 inches of rain came down in a 24-hour period. In fact, some areas saw more than that. Unbelievable to have a stalled hurricane. Oh, my goodness. At least this one here is moving. So, yeah, they're getting some heavy rain. And who knows? Maybe they need the rain. They just don't need, 3-inch hail. Nobody needs 3-inch hail. No. But, yeah, the rain, especially out here in Arizona, we always welcome the rain. Absolutely. Never rains out here. It doesn't rain enough. I will say, though, the past 3 months, we've seen more rain activity out here in Arizona than we've seen in a long, long time. So, yeah, we like it. But I don't think no one likes 3-inch hail. No one likes tornadoes. So that's what we're watching out here for, guys. And I know sometimes, we get in between storms and stuff like that. I don't want to see tornadoes on here, but if we do, it'd be nice to give people a heads up. And I know there's a lot of ways, to get information these days, and that's great, especially if you're in these areas. Obviously, listen to your local weather stations too. But what I'm seeing here in the Parmalee area is just now north of Rosebud. It just kind of stayed west of Rosebud, but that is a very strong storm system, no doubt about it. Looks like it's in a rural area right now, which is good, but it's headed towards White River, South Dakota, headed towards a separate system, headed directly towards Wood, South Dakota. So if you're in Wood, South Dakota, you're about to enter a natural car wash. It's going to rain very, very heavy for, probably 10 or 15 minutes because the storm's moving around 30 knots, I think, 35 knots. But it has a component of 2-inch hail. Might want to stay inside during that little unit right there. And that's what I'm talking about. The pinks right there represent height, and the taller they are, the bigger the hail. So that one must be taller than this one over here. Well, they look about the same. Let's look and see. This one got a 2-inch component. Nope, 1.75. This one's got the 2. That's bigger hail. That's what, that's probably about tennis ball. That's big hail, man. That'll do some major damage. It's going to be like that for many hours, guys. This is a severe thunderstorm warning. Expires in 45 minutes. National Weather Service out of Rapid City, South Dakota. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 10 p.m. Central Daylight Time for northwestern Todd, southwestern Millette counties at 9:30. This is the one we've been watching. At 9:13 p.m. Central Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm was located near Soldier Creek, 14 miles west of Mission, moving north at 20 miles an hour. Ping pong ball size hail and 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Impact people and animals outdoors will be injured. And this is coming from the National Weather Service. And that's true with ping pong ball size hail falling from the sky. Absolutely, you would be injured. Expect hail damage to roofs, siding, windows, and vehicles. Expect wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. And that's another thing, too. These high winds are definitely going to take out power. So if this one here, they're calling the inch and or 1.75, that's inch and 3/4. That's ping pong ball. Then this one here being 2-inch, that's getting close, maybe not quite, but close to tennis ball size hail. So a little bigger hail component over here headed towards wood. And they're under also a severe thunderstorm warning that expires in 13 minutes, and it's the same information. Ping pong ball size hail, probably a little bit bigger because the radar was showing 2-inch, and they're advising people not to go outside right now because of the very large hail. And, of course, the high winds and lightning. Look at the lightning components. They're everywhere. Lightning strikes just overwhelming the map. And it's accurate, too. There's a ton of lightning there. Whether it's making contact with the ground, that remains to be seen. And sometimes that happens, too, with mesocyclones that you'll see on here in these storms. They may show up in the radar, but they may not make contact with the ground, which is good. But sometimes that is the case. Boy, these storms are just all over the place. Look at all these storms. These are all individual storm cells. It's gonna be a long night. It's gonna be a very long night, and it's just now getting started. Wow. Ping pong ball size hail. They're anticipating 3-inch hail. I would say that's at least softball size. So, yeah, it's just getting started. When they're predicting 6 hours ahead of time, 3-inch hail, more than likely it's going to occur either right on the money, exactly 3-inch, maybe a little bigger, maybe a little smaller, but somewhere is probably going to see 3-inch hail tonight if they're going to predict it this far in advance. And I say 6 hours in advance because in some of these areas that they're calling for the 3-inch hail, it's not even raining yet. It's getting ready to, it's going to, but to forecast 3-inch hail and it's not even raining yet, they know the weather conditions are going to be conducive here, and they're getting that way very, very quickly. Because when I first came on here, actually I was on here a couple hours ago, there was no severe thunderstorm warnings like this. This is all unfolding and materializing very, very quickly. And I'm assuming that's what they're anticipating for down in Oklahoma, down in Kansas, over in Iowa later on tonight. Unfortunately, this is there you go. There's your first one. Right there it is, guys. I think we might have saw that earlier and didn't even realize. Yeah, right there. Hold on. That's a mesocyclone. And I was just talking about that. Check it out. See it? Okay, so that what that's telling us is there was a vortex here. Did it make contact with the ground? Let's look and see. TVS, that's a tornadic vortex signature. There's a tornado there. Yes, 106 knots. Hail 100%. Okay, so there was a TVS, which is a tornado vortex signature right here. Oh yeah, you can see it. Okay, if I could, right there. See it right here? That's what I was talking about earlier. See that little thing that looks like a fingerling sticking out right there? That's the TVS. right there. I know it's almost impossible to read, but that is it. And there could be another one over here too. They're usually on the back side, not the front sides. They can be on the front side of the storms, but they're typically on the back side. So yeah, right there it is. That's a TVS. It's in between Konata and Imlay. Right there it is. It's gone now. So more than likely what that was a radar detected TVS that didn't make contact with the ground, hopefully. If it did, it looks like it was out in a rural area. But there you go. That's just a small, that's the first example I've seen, probably of many more to come, because the atmosphere, it's really primed. It's seriously primed for storms tonight. And there's going to be storms, guys, so just be on guard and be ready. I'm telling you, this atmosphere is loaded with energy. There's another mesocyclone discussion. So this is a new one now. All the blue, they're not necessarily rectangles. These are just corrals. These are areas that they're anticipating possible tornadoes right in through here. They haven't come out and give tornado watches or warnings yet, but they probably will. That's what the blue means. They have down here. That's what the red means. That's a tornado watch for that area for the next 5 hours and 39 minutes. Well, that's after midnight tonight, going on 1 o'clock in the morning. Most people are asleep. But see the blue? More than likely, that's going to turn into a tornado watch at some point. This blue corral here, at some point, more than likely here, probably very soon, is going to also turn into a tornado, at the very least, a watch. Could be a warning because they just saw one here that showed up on radar. I don't think it made contact with the ground, but just goes to show you the atmosphere is primed and it is ready to produce tornadoes. And when you see 3 like that, 3 big blue corrals, there's going to be tornadoes somewhere. So just be ready, that's all. And always have a plan. You should have a plan 360, 365. Always have a plan, even in the off seasons, Have a safe room in your house. And be ready to use it. Heck yeah. Make sure everybody knows where it's at. We have a safe room at our house, and everybody knows where it's at. And everybody knows what to do if we ever did get severe weather out here, which is pretty rare. We don't get a whole lot of severe weather in the desert, but at times the monsoons can get kind of intense, and might see some straight line winds. And we've seen straight line winds before out here in Arizona. I've seen some buildings damaged. I've seen telephone poles blown over, but it was not from tornadoes, straight line winds. I wanted to check something here real quick. Hang on, guys. We're going to go check out the power outage situation. Let's just see what's going on. Stormage over in Virginia. I've been following those earlier, or was following those earlier today, but they were moving offshore. But there's apparently 14,000 plus without power, 14,528 customers in the state of Virginia currently without electricity. South Dakota showing 658, more than likely. We'll click on South Dakota. That would be, that's right where the storms are moving at. These are counties that are experiencing the power outages. Todd County, which was on the storm warning list, 269 customers. Tripp County. Now that's pretty good tracking right there. 1 person without power. Now, how's that for service over here at poweroutage.us? Good job. 44 without power in North Dakota, 63 in Nebraska. I'm sure that will change drastically before the night's over, because the storms and the atmosphere are more than primed for high winds, heavy rains. I did update just a minute ago, but we're going to see a connection here. This energy is going to move up and connect with that energy. And then it's anything goes, anything on the menu. Just pick one. High winds, you want large hail, you want a little bit of flash flooding. It's going to be there. Definitely going to be there tonight. Unfortunately, after dark, the nocturnal storms. Man. But anyway, guys, right now the situation is primarily heavy rains up in the South Dakota area, moving north into North Dakota. But just pay attention to the blue areas here. This is going to change throughout the next 2 or 3 hours. But this will probably move over into Iowa, which I'm sure of it during the overnight hours. These blue areas could see tornado activity anytime between now and tomorrow morning. So just have a plan and be ready, guys. The severe weather is here. It did arrive. There's an outbreak of very strong storms right now in South Dakota, and this is just getting warmed up. There's going to be an outbreak of storms all night long. They're showing you these are all outbreaks of storms right now. These are not necessarily right now, but these are going to occur in the next couple of hours. It's going to happen. These are going to happen very, very quickly, by the way. You can see which direction they're moving. This is at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Still have storms in the area. That's that big scorpion tail moving through the area, all occupying the Central Plains, all the way from North Dakota down into the far northern part of Texas, spanning the entire Central Plains. Now that's at 1 a.m., so there's going to be storm activity for the next several hours into the overnight hours. So, guys, all I can say is have a plan. I wanted to give you my heads up. I do follow the weather very, very closely. I don't always report on it, but I do watch it if I feel that maybe if I can help one person, that's great. But if you're in these areas, once again, anything that you see in blue, what that means is the National Weather Service, they're talking about the possibility of tornadoes in these areas. They're looking at how the weather is starting to materialize and how things are unfolding, and they were anticipating this last week, and it's arriving. They're just trying to pinpoint the areas with a certain degree of accuracy so they can give people a heads up. Hey, there could be tornadoes in your area. So Nebraska, Kansas, South Dakota, Iowa, Missouri, Oklahoma, northern Texas, big heads up tonight. Nocturnal storms. There could be an outbreak of severe weather tonight. In fact, there's going to be some kind of severe weather. It just depends on what kind. Will there be tornadoes? Yes, there very well could be tornadoes anywhere in the Central Plains tonight, especially in the Iowa area during the overnight hours. If you're in Iowa, have a plan. Make sure you know where your safe room's at. And be ready for anything, because these storms are going to get cranked up here in the next hour to 2 hours, and that scorpion's tail will make contact. And I'll show you it one more time. This energy right here, it's trying to reach up, and it will make contact. This is going to connect, and you're going to see what looks like the tail of a scorpion move across the Central Plains tonight. Once that makes connection here in the next couple hours, that's when there's going to be a outbreak. This is going to energize, and it's going to form a huge line, big bow, a big storm front through here, and Iowa is going to be right in the middle. So you're going to see a lot of storm activity tonight, Iowa, especially after midnight. So just be ready for the storms and be ready to go to your safe rooms. All right, guys, thanks for sharing part of your Monday evening with me. I appreciate it. Once again, if you're in the Central Plains, stay safe. It's going to be a very, very active night. Thanks for watching. Have a super day and be safe out there.